What's going on, guys? My name is CD. Today we're going to be talking about Teamfight Tactics and really just how to play Teamfight Tactics. If you guys don't already know, I'm not sure why you'd be searching this video, but it is the League of Legends auto chess variant. We're going to go through the beginner basics of how you play Teamfight Tactics, because I know the very first time you see an auto chess game, it's a mess. Like, it doesn't make any sense. There seems to be no rhyme or reason why someone's doing something. So hopefully, if you haven't already played a game, this may give you some information. The people that have played a couple games but still aren't really sure what everything is or how to play, this will probably help them the most, because at least in my experience, playing and doing things for yourself is the only way to really learn. Watching videos like this or watching people stream will allow you to pick up on some other things and just improve your game. But let's get right into it. Alright, so Teamfight Tactics, or TFT, that's how I'm going to call it, is an 8-player free-for-all game mode where basically the last player alive wins. Each player has their own game board, and each round they'll battle another player. Each player is going to try and assemble the best team of champions. Those champions will automatically fight neutral kind of minions in some rounds, as well as other players. So in each combat round, and we'll talk about when there's not a combat round later, but for each combat round, either your team will go to another board or another team will come to your board. And as I said, the champions fight by themselves, hence the kind of auto chess variant, and the surviving champions will then damage the other player. So every player starts with 100 health, and as I said, you'll take damage if you lose the round of combat, and you'll lose it based on the number and the quality of the enemy units that are still alive after that kind of combat. So for example, let's say you lose the round, but there's just one enemy remaining. You're just going to take a little bit of damage. But let's say you just get smoked, and there's still like 5 or 6 enemies on the board when you lose. You're going to take a good deal of damage. So to continue the basics here, we need to talk about the shop, because this is how you purchase those champions that are going to fight for you. And this is basically the whole core of the game, and it is to purchase champions and upgrade them by purchasing copies of that same champion. So to make this simple here, one champion by themselves is considered a bronze champion in TFT. Now if you get 3 copies of the exact same champion, they're going to combine into a silver champion. Now if you get 3 copies of a silver champion, or 9 bronze champions to all combine, you will get a gold champion, and that's the best you can get. There are a limited number of each champion in the game, so if many different players are going for these same champions, you're going to be less likely to find that champion. It's going to be harder for you to actually level them up. In the shop, you get offered 5 champions at a time. If you don't like any of those champions, you can re-roll or refresh for 2 gold. You can also lock or unlock the shop with the current selections that you have. And this happens in the rare case where you need one of the champions in this shop, but you can't afford it or you don't want to purchase it until the next round. Once you lock the shop, it'll save those 5 selections until the next round for you. So we talked about upgrading the champions, and that is a very, very important part of TFT, but so is creating a strong team composition. So you not only want to look for champions that you currently have to upgrade them and find copies of them, but you also want to look for champions with similar synergies and classes as the composition you're currently going. We will talk more about the classes and origins, I believe they're called, later on in this video. So earlier we talked about combat rounds, which can be either neutral, so you're versing the AI, or you can verse other players. But there is another round, and that's the shared draft, or I've heard a lot of people call it the carousel round. So every 5 rounds, all players will teleport here to this carousel, where each player is going to be able to make a selection, not from the shop, but actually from the carousel. They're going to walk their character into the champion that they want, and they'll kind of attach, and that's the character you get. But to make it more fair for the players that may be losing a little bit more, as you can see on the far right side of the screen, you can see each player in the game and their health total. In these carousel rounds, players are going to be freed from their kind of yellow ring that they cannot get out of, 2 at a time, starting from the players with the least amount of health. This gives those players a little bit of an advantage, a little bit of an edge to come back in the game, as they get the first choice at either whatever character they want or whatever item that champion is holding. And you can see those items denoted in the top left of each champion and their health bar. Now, I know at the beginning of the game, if you don't know League of Legends like I didn't know any characters. So these rounds were super, super tough because I knew the character's name that I wanted to get or I needed to get, but I had no idea what they looked like. So if you're in that same boat, These rounds are going to be tough to start off with, but as you play more and more and as you try out different compositions, you'll start to recognize more and more characters. And it's the same way with the items. You may not have any idea what those items even mean or what they are or what they do. Again, that's something that's just going to come with playing more and more. The next huge thing we need to talk about is gold and experience. So your gold you use to purchase champions from the shop that we talked about earlier. You can also refresh the store or re-roll it, and you can also buy experience points to level up faster. You earn gold and experience at the end of each round, and experience points are super important because your player level actually determines how many champions or units you can have on the board at once, as well as the rarity of champions that are more likely to appear in your shop. The higher the level, the more likely you are to see more rare champions in your shop. And usually rare champions are a little bit better than the more common. So as I said, you do earn, I believe, 2 experience for each round that you play. You can also buy experience points in the increments of 4 for 4 gold. And you can see your current XP in the shop. Right next to it, there's an XP bar, and it shows you how close you are to getting to the next level. It's usually best to save up your gold unless you can actually get to your next level and buy that experience. And that's because of interest. So you can earn 1 gold for every 10 gold that you're holding in your bank, up to a max of 5 gold per round at 50 gold. So that's why you'll see a lot of players saving up for that 50 gold and then kind of playing around there because they're earning an extra 5 gold a round at that point. And this is where the strategy kind of comes in, and play time and experience of knowing when you actually need to spend your gold to stay alive, or when you can save up and get that extra interest and that extra economy to just be more wealthy, level up a little faster, and be able to see and roll more champions in your shop. A cool thing they did in TFT is on the left side of the board, those little gold, I don't know what the heck those are. No idea, stones, rocks, I don't know. They actually denote how much interest you're getting. So if you only have 1 little rock over there, that means you have somewhere from 10 to 19 gold right now, and you're going to earn 1 interest. And so on and so forth. So if all 5 are showing on the screen, that means you have somewhere above 50 gold and you're earning 5 interest a round. And saving gold for this interest is really, really important. So you'll usually want to avoid re-rolling in the shop on an early round, as well as leveling up. You want to save gold as quickly as possible. So in the early game, usually you just want to spend your gold on the important champions that appear in your shop and then save the rest without re-rolling or leveling up to gain more interest. This is also why you'll see a lot of players, let's say they're at like 29 gold, they'll maybe sell one of their champions on their bench to get above 30 so they can get that extra interest. Also, if you're at, let's say 29 and you can't sell anything to get to 30, it may be a viable option to roll or to buy some more champions, as you're going to get the same amount of interest whether you have 20 gold or 29 gold. Another way to earn some extra gold every round is win streaks or lose streaks. Now these aren't as controlled by the player as interest is, but both win streaks and lose streaks, if you happen to get them, are beneficial for your income. Earlier we talked about champion rarity. There are 5 tiers of champions ranging from 1 gold at tier 1 to 5 gold at tier 5. And at the start of the game, you're going to most likely see tier 1 and tier 2 champions. And by this kind of list right here, pause the video if you guys need to, it'll tell you the percentage of tiered characters that you'll see at that player level. And then also on the right side, you can see that it has the total number of champions in the pool for all characters at that tier. All right, so next we're going to talk about champions and their mana and their abilities. So every single champion has a basic attack. They're either like swinging a sword or shooting something, you know, that's their basic attack. And then they also have a special ability that they can use once they reach maximum mana. And I believe that's the little blue bar underneath their health. These champions gain mana every time they attack an enemy, and there are some items that can actually increase a champion's mana gain or allow them to start the round with extra mana. There are also some abilities that can reset a champion's mana to 0. That kind of segues us right into the different origins and classes of each champion. Now there's a ton to go into right here, and if you're a brand new player, this is probably going to be way over your head, so I'm not going to deep dive into it. There's a ton of cheat sheets out there. If you guys just Google like TFT Origins and Classes cheat sheet or something like that, you'll probably get a bunch of images that'll kind of help you out with the different origin or class and the character that belongs there. It also gives you a little description of what happens when you get those characters and you unlock that synergy. And in the game, when you're bringing your champions onto the field, once you unlock that synergy on the left side of the screen, you'll see it unlocked. If it's gray, that means you don't currently have it, and it'll say, let's say for whatever character you have 1 out of 2 or 1 out of 3, that means you need 2 more to unlock that synergy. There can also be different tiers for synergy. So let's say at 2, they unlock the bronze version, which is like the first version of the synergy. Then at 4, it can unlock the next synergy or the silver one. And then finally, the last or the highest synergy for that origin or class could be 6, and that'll appear as gold on the left side of the screen. And I believe the final thing for beginners in TFT are items. So items can be acquired by defeating these neutral rounds or the AI rounds that are prevalent at the beginning of the game, and then I believe every 5 rounds after that. I'm not sure on that. And again, if you're a new player, there's so many combinations of these items that it's better for you to just find an TFT item cheat sheet somewhere that'll tell you when you combine these items what they turn into and what it actually does for that character. Also, as we talked about the carousel round earlier, each of those champions has an equipped item. So sometimes it can be correct to actually pick the character with the item that you need in the carousel round instead of the actual character. And then once you get back to your board, you just sell the character and you get that item free to put on whoever you want. So items can either be put on a champion alone, or you can put 2 items on a champion and they will actually combine. And as I said, there's a ton of combinations. Check out a cheat sheet to help you guys out a little bit more to know what you're looking at. But sometimes it can be right to just hold 1 item because you're waiting for another that makes some crazy item that you really want to use for a certain champion. That's up to you and your composition. So I believe that is it. If you guys noticed something that I messed up on or that I didn't mention, please put it in the comments down below to help newer people out. So if you guys did enjoy the video, if it helped you guys out at all, please make sure to click that like button down below. Sub if you have not already. We got more content coming here real soon. Enjoy TFT, and we'll see you guys later.